All right, guys, welcome to the first ever. I guess we'll call this the Electric Fantasy Football Podcast. Um, the reason why I started this up is we've had a league now for what's it been since I started at Gale, so that's been at least 9 years, and I'm guessing you guys might have done something beforehand. But yeah, so I decided to start this podcast because there's a lot of us that have been doing this league for a while, and it gets us away from our daily lives at times, and where we can talk about football and hang out with our friends. So I said, why not start a podcast where I can bring a new one of my friends and league owners, in this case, onto this podcast. So for the first ever episode, I had to bring on the man that was the runner up last year and was, I don't even, the closest fantasy football championship ever. Like,
I
and
don't.
that's Christopher Haines right here, as you can see in his Packers hat. But like, did we exactly tie?
We tied. We tied, and I was losing by like 30 points with one guy left to go.
Who was it? Do you remember?
Uh it might have been my number one draft choice of this year.
Which
Debo.
was Oh
Debo
wow.
Samuel.
It probably was that, because he probably did a lot of weird stuff in that game to get a lot of points and yards. So that makes sense. But yeah. So welcome, Mr. Haynes. It's an honor to have you as my first official guest on this podcast. And first, how's life, man? I mean, I saw you a couple weeks ago at the draft and stuff, and I know you're ramping up for another robotics season. So what's been going on?
Yeah, so right now, yep, if I'm not working, it's all about robotics right now. It's we started our official meetings this week. I've got over 30 middle school students assigned to me right now, and kind of interesting. 20 of them are brand new, never had any experience in robotics at all. So
How does that work? Like, is it just all one? You can't call it like all one team, because like you've had people that have so much more experience doing robotics, and now you have these people coming in. So like it's hard for you as as the coach to manage, like, it's like managing like a football team where you have all these, I guess you can call them stud players or better players. You have these people that have never even played football before, and you have to like make that work. So like, is that the same way with you?
yep. But that's the cool thing about our robotics group is that my experienced members are all stepping up and really taking the younger students under their wings, so to speak. Got one kid running a code group of 8 or 9 students, and he's got this whole curriculum already planned out for them and everything. And yeah, got a couple of experienced builders. One of them's working on some plans to help the younger students get their hands on some tools and get started with building. And yeah, but yeah, so to answer your original question, we're actually 3 teams,
Oh,
but we're all working together.
okay. So do you have like other like volunteers, parents that volunteer to help?
I do. I have 2 other full-time parents volunteering with me, and then I've got several other part-time parents volunteering.
That's good. I mean, as a coach, like you said, I coached little league basketball, like 7 to 10 year olds, for 3 to 4 years, and it was very stressful. But what you said reminded me a lot of that, is just like how happy you felt, like, you know, you're coaching these kids in robotics, but you're watching them like grow up and like mentor other people. Like, that's, as a coach, when I would see like something that I told a player, and then I saw him like the next year, like telling that to one, like his teammates, and like it's just like such a great feeling. And it's great to win. It's great to go to those competitions that you post about, and like it's cool that you give us updates and stuff on Facebook. I love reading that, and it's like for you, but it's great to win. But you, like you said, like what was it award you got last year? It wasn't like you guys, it wasn't was it the teammate award or something? Was
Right here. It is the we got the Connect Award, which what that means we're reaching out to the community. We're sharing what we're doing with the community. We're talking about FIRST Robotics with the community, letting people know what we do, why we do it, and how we do it.
That's, I mean, could it get much better than that? Like that's got to be like a huge accomplishment to getting that award.
It was, and even better yet, we don't have a trophy for it, but we got second place, what they call the Inspire Award. And the Inspire Award is the top award for our level of robotics. It's
Oh
even better than
wow.
having the best robot there. What that means is that you're fully embracing the program and you're really hitting on every aspect of the program. You're not just focusing on having a really good robot. You're really going above and beyond and helping other teams out whenever you can and things like that.
That's incredible. I mean, that's if I was in your position, man, I'd be on cloud nine because it means you're inspiring them to be other, just like when I was growing up in school, it was, you had science fairs and stuff, but you could tell which projects were like basically done by their parents. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of help from my parents growing up in that stuff, but like they made me do like majority of the work. But dude, but it reminds me of you. It's like not just about having the best robot there. It's about transforming and as like a human being and using teamwork and collaborating together. So it's awesome, man. Awesome. So anything else new? You got any what's the your favorite band? You just went and saw them?
The Avett Brothers. Yeah, we
Avett Brothers.
just saw them down in Detroit at the Masonic Temple.
Are you gonna see them again anytime soon?
Nothing on. We haven't bought any tickets yet. Yeah, there's currently no shows within a 5-hour drive, so that's usually the way we look at it.
So 5 hours your window then
Yeah.
to go see them. That's cool, man. So like, did you just? They're obviously your favorite band. So like, what made you start listening to them? Was it like I'm not very familiar with them, so I don't even know how long they've been around.
Yeah, so that's actually kind of funny because when first time I actually saw them in concert, I had only kind of casually listened to them because my wife really likes the band. She was turned on to the band. This was about the same time that Mumford and Sons kind of became known.
Okay.
And their music style is kind of similar. And so when somebody had heard that my wife liked Mumford and Sons, they're like, "Hey, wait, you should really check out this band too." And so she kind of got into them, and they happened to have a show at the Fillmore in Detroit. I think that was like 2011, 2012, something like that.
Okay. So it's still kind of recent then. Like it's not too
Yeah,
far out. Okay.
yeah. So I thought I'd just go with, and I mean, it was all right, and ended up going to a couple more shows with her, and it was the third show that was what really sold them to me. And this was at Common Ground in Lansing.
Okay.
Halfway through the set, fireworks start going off at the Lugnuts after a Lansing Lugnuts game at the
Yeah.
ball.
Mm-hmm.
And the band literally like finished their song, stopped, all walked over to the side of the stage, looked up at the fireworks, started talking to each other quickly, ran back, made a change in their set list, and played the most appropriate song possible for that moment. And
That's so cool.
it was just such a magical moment, and it was like, okay, now I can see why people really like this band.
I mean, yeah, but it's because they're not just musicians; they are entertainers too. Because like they knew how to adapt to the audience.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. I never knew that, so that's cool. Cool. Anything else coming up fun before the cold weather starts? Any vacations? You guys going up north? Do anything like that? Nothing.
No, now that we're in robotic season, it's
Yeah,
pretty much
yeah,
my
duh.
time
It's not only is it only school season, Eric, duh, but it's we were just talking about robotics. Yep, that's true. Yeah, it's like for me, I won't be able to play golf that much longer this year, and it's sad, but yeah. All right, so let's get into why we are here on this podcast. Yeah, but before we get into the regular season, I want to talk about some things. The draft. What was your strategy going into the draft? Did you have any, because you had last pick, correct?
I had the ninth pick.
You had ninth picks. Okay, so you had the ninth and the 12th pick. Did you have any strategy going in? Were you for sure going running back? Like were you actually looking to get Samuel, like Debo?
So when I saw, my slot, and I saw who was out there or who would most likely be out there, I knew I wanted a running back and a wide receiver in the first two rounds. And I it looked like Samuel would be there in the second round for me if I waited. But at the same time, I decided if he's there at 9, I'm not going to take the chance that I don't get him on that return pick. So that was my main target in the first round.
So who was your second round pick again?
Good question. I have to look at my lineup for that. I forgot. It was a running back. I know that.
Your top performers this week were Michael Thomas, Kyler Murray, and James Conner.
Might have been Kamara.
Yeah, I think it was Kamara. I think did you take Conner in the third round then?
I think that was third round. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So if there's anyone listening that that is not familiar with our league, we're doing a 10-man league. We're PPR. We have pretty much your standard. We have quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a flex, a tight end, a kicker, and defense, and then we changed it from 7 bench spots to 6 bench spots this year, right? Or is it from 8 to 7? I think it's 8 to 7. Then we added an extra IR spot just because we don't know with how COVID's going to be the year.
7 to 6.
If you're anything like me, I'm already struggling with that with only 6 spots, man, because I want a guy, but I don't want to drop anybody.
And that's kind of where I realize now in my roster, I only have 1 QB right now. And it's like, who do I drop to grab another QB, or what do I do here? I mean, granted, I do have some people that I could drop, but I mean, I had to have a Spartan, so that's why I have Walker on there.
I mean, you could put him on the IR though, because he's out.
Well, he's still questionable.
He's questionable because I have him in my Yahoo league, and I just put him on the IR today because he was listed as out for the game yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 I don't know. I mean, I could always drop Hopkins. He's not going to be back for a little while. And then again,
it's tough,
back, I mean,
yeah.
Stud.
Well, after the draft, how'd you feel? Because I know you were like, because when I told you that you got the second best draft grade, you were very surprised.
I was a little bit surprised. I mean, I didn't necessarily think I did horrible, but I just didn't think I did that great either.
Yeah, because the first what ESPN ranked as the best overall draft was Steve Hicks, who he drafted right after you, right? He was 10.
Yep.
Yeah. So this shows you people that are worried about draft positioning. If you're in the late rounds and you just make 3 or 4 really good picks back to back, it's like that's going to transform the season. And that's exactly what you guys did. I mean, over C, I mean, we'll look at the score. Let me go back to the scoreboard. Oh, and you're playing Hicks this week.
Yep, it'd be fun.
I'm jumping ahead. For the draft, is there anyone that you really wanted that you didn't get? Oh, it's cut out again. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Is there anybody that you really wanted to take in the draft but you didn't? I know you're a huge Packers fan. I'm guessing you're glad you didn't take Rodgers after this past week, but
no, actually, I was totally going to steer clear of him this year.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I would have liked to say maybe have a Mahomes on my team, but I'll deal with Murray instead. I mean, I don't know. I don't really feel like I really needed anybody else, but you always want better.
Yeah. All right. Well, there it is. How do you feel now about your team? Well, we just told everybody that you won. You won. What was the score? It was you beat Mr. Tom Lemoyne 108-101. Barn burner.
I did. Yeah, I know, right? Both of our projected totals were good 20 points higher than that.
I mean, you gotta
Watching
love
it go
that.
down.
You gotta love that Michael Thomas performance, huh? That guy hasn't done anything in a season and a half.
Right, right. And that was all like late in the game too.
What round did you get him?
Um, I'd have to look back, but he was kind of low.
I think he was like very like towards the very late rounds because I think I made a comment when you took him. It's just like if that guy becomes anything like he used to be, watch out.
Right.
Okay, so we're gonna preview your matchup this week versus Mr. Hicks and Team Fancy. Projections right now is Husky Super Dabbers you 123, Team Fancy 114. How do you feel about that?
I'm cool with it. I mean, I still might make some changes, but I'm probably going to leave this in place and just see how it goes one more week. Unless somebody all of a sudden hurt in practice tomorrow.
Which you never know. It can happen. We had some technical difficulties. That was on me. Sorry about that. Last we were talking about your matchup this week with Mr. Steve Hicks. And you said you're feeling pretty good about the matchup so far.
So far, I think I am. You know, I'm yeah, I think I'm probably leaving my team as is.
How did
Yeah,
Kamara do week one? He got 6 points.
yeah, he only got me 6. That's the one that I'm like that might be the one place I change, but I don't know. I don't know because I could always put in Chase Edmonds, but who knows?
Yeah, James Conner was solid for you. Kyler, yeah, I mean, got you 19. Yeah, I mean, your team's solid, man. That Packers defense, huh? I mean, the good thing is they're playing the Bears and they're not playing against Justin Jefferson this week, so that should help them out. So, are you going to walk away with a win this week?
I better.
Sounds like a yes. I love the confidence.
I need to get up. I need to get up before the buys start coming in.
Oh, you're playing against Justin. You're playing against Justin Jefferson because Hicks has him. Oh man, he's dangerous. He's got a good team. He's got Russ.
Oh, he does.
Russ put up good numbers yesterday, average numbers. He's got Mixon, Fournette, Jefferson, Christian Kirk, who went off for Jacksonville. He's the number one target there. Kyle Pitts, who didn't do well, but you know he's going to Kareem Hunt. Didn't he have like 2 touchdowns? Yeah, Kareem Hunt had 22 points last week. This would be a good matchup. This would be really good. This would be fun. This is the best thing about our fantasy football league because there's never really like ever somebody that runs away with it, and there's never somebody that's always in dead last. It's always like we're always like crammed together, you know, and like around the 500 mark, and that's why I really like this league.
Yeah, makes it interesting for
Yes.
sure. Makes it exciting. Makes you actually want to set your lineup each week.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So that brings me to, since you said that's exciting and it's interesting and everything seems to be even. If you had to, the season ended right now, which 6 teams would be in the playoffs?
Oh gosh.
We did a live draft, so you saw everyone's drafts. You saw the week 1 matchups. I'm gonna put you on the hot seat. Just so you guys know, there's no people watching this. There's no like hard feelings, you know.
I honestly, I might be able to answer that after this week.
Yeah.
But gosh, with only week 1 to go on, and
so they actually have playoff percentage. Like, what are the odds that each team makes the playoffs? And you are number 1 at 80% right now.
Well, I hope so. I mean, if I had the best draft grade, I better make the playoffs.
Yeah. Larry's number 2 at 72%. He had a big, I'll call an upset against Kenny just because I know Kenny, and this is Larry's first year playing fantasy football, so that was a great win. I lost to Chris, was not expecting that, but his team put up numbers. And then Skalski beat Doug. But all matchups were close this week. There were, like there wasn't any blowouts. Like, we talked about for the regular season, record wise, there was not really any blowouts this week, which is cool. The lowest on the totem pole was Mr. Lemoyne with 101 points, though.
And I barely beat him.
But you're the favorite. You're the favorite to make the playoffs, so that's cool.
Right.
You're going against Team Fancy, who put up the most points in week 1 at 134.
And that one doesn't surprise me one bit. Last time Fancy was in our league, he did that constantly.
Yeah, he's very active on the waiver wire too, I think, every year. So he definitely pays attention to what's going on in football, which is great. So I have 2 more questions for you. Do the Packers beat the Bears this week?
Yes.
What's the score?
Oh gosh. What's the score? Let's go closer than you might think. 21-17.
21-17. Is it 3 Aaron Rodgers touchdowns?
Nah, well, if he's got his head back together, it could be.
Yeah, because he did not look good against Minnesota. I mean,
No.
that drop pass by that. Oh my God, that was a bomb. It was right in his
first play. I think that ruined it. Yeah.
What a tone setter, huh?
Yep.
All right, and then I didn't realize how close the spread was, but does Michigan State beat Washington?
I saw that too.
They're getting 3.5.
I saw. Yeah, I was really surprised with that. I mean, it's got to be because we're out there, but
because I saw them, like, they pop up on my apps. They're like, oh, Michigan State plays Washington Saturday night. I'm like, cool. I guess because my dad's gonna be in town. We can watch the games like at a bar or in the basement or something. And then I go and look at I'm like, is Washington still like legit? Because they were legit for like last couple of years. I remember they played Michigan. Was it last year, the year before in the opener? Yeah. And then I saw the spread. I was like, I mean, got to have better quarterback play from Thorne. Like love the running game. We also did it against Akron. So
right.
You haven't been tested yet, and you're the underdogs in this game. So does Michigan State win?
I think they could. I think they squeak it out if they win. But this could be our first,
overrated sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got to have Peyton Thorne play well, man. I'm kind of nervous for it just because I just don't want to hear it afterwards. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
I guess if we scheduled Hawaii, we'd be all right, but we didn't. It's just a bummer. But all right. Well, Mr. Haines, I want to say thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me on.
It's been a pleasure. More than likely, we're going to do this again. So my plan is to interview everybody and then possibly bring them all back on again, or even like if it gets closer to the end of the season, bring like you and your opponent on. Like if it's you versus McKella, if you guys are fighting for that last playoff spot for first place or something, get you guys here with a little fun banter. So that's really the plan for it. This is, like I said, this is just to have fun and to get even more invested in our fantasy football league. Is we don't throw major money on it. We throw something that's nice. It's nice to win and to get that back in your Venmo or whatever account after this. But for the most part, it's just fun and little cheap bragging rights. And it's cool. We get to see each other in the office now, every now and then, so we can talk even more football then.
For sure. All right.
You got any last words for everybody?
I'm currently number 1.
And there it is, Mr. Haines.